Welcome, I'm Dr. Saida, and this is a fun series on redefining femininity. And I have some very amazing guests that I am excited to introduce you to. Today's guest is Laura Hollick, and Laura is an award-winning artist, a visionary guide, and the creator of the Yoni Art Project. And I think, Laura, I have had a girl crush on you for a while. I think you're absolutely magnificent. Everything that you've done and put out, it's so unique and powerful, and so I'm really excited for people to meet you, so welcome.
Thank you.
So the first thing I want to just talk about, because in this interview, this series, what I'd love to explore is femininity, but I want to know first, Laura, what does femininity even mean to you personally? What does that word invoke for you?
Well, there's elements and layers to it because, of course, being in the female body, I think initially that's what I thought. I'm like, oh, I'm a woman. You check on the box, like male or female. I'm like, female. And so I'm like, well, that's one layer of it. But the more that I've built a relationship with myself and who I want to be in the world, I realize there's qualities of me that are feminine. And I also have a very strong masculine as well, which many people probably don't know because they probably see more of the creative side of me. But to make creativity happen, there's a lot of structures and systems. So when I think about the feminine, I think about the fertility of creativity and what that fertility requires. So there's a lot of self-care, there's a lot of reflection, there's a lot of being with nature, there's a lot of listening, intuition, imagination, insight, vision, and the relationship really with spirit and with earth, and sort of how do I be in those relationships and the sensuality of that. So I've come to understand those are my feminine qualities, and they're different from the masculine part of me that's more like, okay, let's get this done, and how are we going to do this? And so it's just like a different flavor of who I am.
I love that. I love that in some of your description of femininity, there's a being aspect, a receptive aspect, a fertile aspect. I think those are very crucial words. I'm curious if there was like a particular moment in your own personal journey through life where this definition or these ideas, like they became really kind of like, wow, like an aha moment, or like, wow, like did something happen in particular that you could share with us?
For sure. So I was super shy growing up and was a late bloomer in my life. Like I got my period very late. My sexual exploration was sort of stunted because I was scared, and I felt quite ugly. And I don't know if you can hear that, but we're in the reality of life. There's a car going by. So I felt very stunted in my growth of being girl, woman. And so in my ugliness, I really hid. And my journey was actually, because I was hiding, I was isolated and scared, and there was a missing piece of me, and so longed for feeling beautiful, feeling connected. And I went on a quest really to find my beauty, almost like an obsession. I felt so ugly, and then like the flip of that is like the desire to be beautiful. And in my process of learning about beauty, my sexuality opened up, my sense of myself opened up. And so my discovery of femininity was really the journey of discovering my beauty. Wow. Because I think beauty is like our essence, right? And so when we go to find our essence, we're connecting with our spirit. And in connecting with our spirit, to me, there's the fertility and the creativity. And so feeling ugly, I guess, would be the impetus to my understanding of femininity, because it's what gave me the desire to even want to find my beauty and to figure out what is my beauty, right? Different from what I might see in a magazine or now on Instagram and things like that. Like, what is my beauty? And that was my journey. It was to figure that out. Wow. And in that, I learned about my femininity. I learned about my masculinity as well. Yeah. But beauty beauty's like the underneath piece that kind of informs all of my femininity.
I get that. And I always love to hear these are stories I think are so important, because when I look at you and your work and all your artistic accomplishments, every image that I've ever seen of you is stunningly gorgeous. Like it's not even just a little bit beautiful. It's like stunningly gorgeous. And so the fact that that's an internal expression of your beauty coming out, I think is really poignant and something very important to notice and to pay attention to. So thank you for sharing that. I have one more question.
Thank you for that reflection.
Yeah, absolutely. Right now, I am noticing that there's a lot of divisive conversations and discussions around masculinity versus femininity. And what I'm curious about more from our dialogue today is, what do you feel maybe like the one thing that would be crucial to creating a more healthy, harmonious dynamic moving forward?
Between the masculine and the feminine?
Yes.
Is that the question? Like what would, I think that what will create a healthy dynamic, and when I think about 2020, you know, we're heading into this 2020 time, balance, like symmetry. And so in order for their masculine and feminine to meet each other in an empowered place, that means both aspects need to be empowered. And I think that that starts within ourselves. You know, as I mentioned earlier, I definitely have a strong masculine quality to me, and I have a strong feminine. And the way they're in relationship will determine how I then show up in the world. And so if we grow up in a society that doesn't allow, say, men to have a feminine quality, or it looks down on women when they have a masculine quality, their relationship of that within themselves is already in a strain. And so it's then very hard to show up in the world in a way of union, because the internal battle is going on. So the way that I approach it is I really tend to that relationship within myself so that I can show up and I'm equally at ease with the masculine energy as I am with the feminine. So I have no resistance to that. Like if I, you know, if I'm talking to a man and he's very much, oh, well, like give me the linear dates of this, this, and this, I understand. And if I'm talking to a woman and it's like floating in the tangents and it's like, I understand. So I'm able to be with these energies with ease, and I'm not trying to squeeze them to go the direction that makes sense to one side of me.
Right.
But I can be like, oh, I understand you, because I have a holistic relationship in myself. So I think that that's something that we learn, you know, from children growing up. Like I think from now forward to include that in the childhood, that children, and I think having transgender becoming more visible is part of that healing process, that we can understand within ourselves. We have energies that are of different orientation. Even though we might be in a feminine body or a masculine body, they're still living within us.
Right.
So that's what I would say. You know, we start with the relationship within ourself of those energies.
Fantastic. It's so there's a couple of things I want to say to that, just to anchor it. From what I'm hearing, is one of the most crucial, like if we were to take a nugget out of all of that, but I feel like you are inviting the individual to build healthy relationship with both these facets within themselves. And when that individual journey of having healthy union, harmonious connection with all these very nuanced facets of, well, what the hell is femininity, masculinity anyways, you know, and discovering that for ourselves and being at home there, then we're much more open to interacting with these dynamics externally. So is that what I'm?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it's like, and sometimes the way we learn internally is that we're exposed to someone, like even if it's watching a movie or hanging out with someone and we see someone behaving in a certain way and we kind of like it. And we're like, I'd like to experiment with that behavior, like the way that they spoke in that, or the way they responded to conflict or whatever it is. And so we can be cultivating our inner world, our inner being from things that are happening around us. But ultimately the union, we have to feel it in ourselves to see it reflecting around us. Like we have to, if we want to change what's going on in our society and our culture, it's not like you can do it from like saying, oh, change, you know, it's like, it happens inside. So we can't like make it happen outside until it's the reflection of who we are.
Right.
So I do believe it starts within. Doesn't mean we're like isolated, like we're influenced by life, but it is a relationship that does happen within ourselves so that we feel safe for it to happen amongst other people.
Totally agree. Absolutely love all your wisdom. I really want to thank you for sharing. We're keeping these interviews really short and punchy, so we're going to wrap it up in a moment here. But wow, I think, you know, we're very similar in our thinking in terms of when the individual is stronger, when we actually can love our uniqueness and really confront, you know, our own, like, wow, you know, there's a part of me I don't like, and what does that mean? Or, ooh, I really like you said, this, someone's emulating something that you don't have embodied yet, and you're like, wow, what's that? Like this curious behavior, I think, is really important, and to understand that the individual is crucial in this dialogue. So, Laura, again, thank you for your embodied wisdom, because you can really feel the truth of your words and you see it in your being. And that is profoundly impactful. Yeah, thank you so much. And thank you to the listeners for being here today. And I have a little invitation, so stay tuned for that. You're invited to join this amazing conversation. Soon I'll be doing a training, Redefining Feminine Power, and I want you to be there. So click the link that comes with this video, join. Just for joining, I will be giving you a free downloadable gift, so definitely watch out for that. And if you can't make it at the time that the training is happening, don't worry. Because you've signed up, we'll make sure you get the replay. All right. So all you need to do is just click on the link, join the conversation, and let's redefine feminine power together.